What they tried to erase, God is about to highlight. What they whispered about you, heaven is about to announce. This is the beginning of your turning point. Stay close, stay still, and listen. C.S. Lewis, in his reflection on divine purpose, wrote, "There are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. The weight of glory." This truth underscores your divine significance. Your stillness amidst their attempts to remove you reveals you as no mere mortal but a chosen one marked for divine revealing. Lewis's words, resonating with your past interest in spiritual identity and purpose, affirm that your obedience positions you for heaven's announcement, transcending earthly schemes. They think you are unaware. They assume your silence is ignorance, but heaven knows it is obedience. You have not spoken because your spirit was instructed to remain still. You have not reacted because the one who sees all told you to wait. And now that patience is being honored, right now, while others conspire to shift you out of position, God is shifting the entire atmosphere in your favor. This is not a warning born of fear. It is a declaration birthed in authority. You are not on the verge of loss. You are standing at the edge of divine reversal. They believed you would be silent and disappear, but God never called you to be hidden. He called you to be holy. And holiness does not scream to be seen. It is seen because it remains. There is a table where your name was mentioned, not in honor, but in rejection, not in recognition, but in removal. They wrote your name on paper and circled it in red, not to celebrate it, but to eliminate it. Yet what they fail to understand is that heaven never needed their paper. Heaven has already inscribed your name in glory. What they wrote in ink, God has burned in light, and no human hand can erase what the divine hand has already approved. You were never submitted for their vote. You were sealed by divine covenant, and that covenant cannot be overruled. The reason for this message is not only to reveal what is happening behind the curtain, it is to prepare your soul for the glory that will follow. For in the coming days something unexpected will break the silence. A voice not intended to speak will speak. Someone who was part of the conversation will become uneasy, not because they feel pity, but because heaven is stirring their conscience. They were not sent to defend you, but now they cannot ignore what was said, what was planned, what was written against you. And when that moment comes, you must listen, not with fear, but with discernment, because it will be confirmation that you were never wrong to feel what you felt. Do not confront. Do not chase. Do not attempt to correct the record. You do not need to prove what God is about to demonstrate. In fact, your restraint is part of your reward. They do not know it yet, but your silence has activated heaven's justice. For every whisper behind your back, there is now a word of honor being spoken in heaven. For every vote to remove you, there is a plan unfolding to raise you. And for every attempt to block your future, God is unlocking something greater. You must understand this clearly now. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. This is not rejection. It is redirection. What they tried to take from you, heaven never gave to them. They only held it temporarily. But now that season ends. Now the transition begins. You will not return to the same table. You will not sit in the same seat. You will not depend on the same approval. God is building something that does not require their presence, only His permission. And that permission has already been granted. Let your soul steady itself. Let your mind breathe. The threat was real, but so is the triumph. And it belongs to you. Not because of your perfection, but because of your perseverance. You stayed when it was lonely. You gave when it cost you everything. You remained when others walked away. And because of that, heaven is responding, not just with protection, but with promotion. Yes, your time in the shadows has ended. The light is not coming to blind you. It is coming to crown you. There is a shift approaching, one, so precise, so intentional, that even those who conspired against you will be forced into silence, not by confrontation, but by conviction. In the next 7 days, something unexpected will take place. It will not be loud. It will not arrive with trumpets or headlines. It will come through simplicity, a message, a word spoken in passing, a call that seems coincidental but is not. This is how heaven moves with quiet precision. You will know it by the peace it brings, the weight it carries, the way your spirit responds before your mind can explain. That moment will not merely inform you, it will confirm everything that has been spoken to your soul in silence. You will remember this moment when it happens. You will pause, you will feel the breath in your chest slow, and you will know this is the sign. This is the evidence that you were never alone in the unseen battle, that you were never foolish to trust what your heart discerned but could not prove. Because now proof will arrive not to justify you to them but to assure you in God. And when it comes, do not run to speak. Do not rush to be heard. Simply listen, absorb, and give thanks in your heart. For the war in the spirit will have already been won by then. You will be standing not in the heat of conflict but in the calm of victory. There are those who planned your absence, who believed your silence was defeat. But in truth, your silence was sanctified. It was the womb in which the promise was protected. And now the labor is over. Now birth comes not of something small or fragile, but of something weighty and enduring. What you are about to step into is not compensation, it is confirmation. It is not payback, it is purpose. And it is not temporary, it is eternal. The door they tried to close has become the very wall through which God will now break. What they meant to shut off heaven has marked as an entry point, and no lock fashioned by man can resist the key forged by obedience. And so be still. Let the weight of this promise anchor your soul. Do not strive to fix what was never yours to manage. Do not attempt to rewrite what heaven has already edited. The delay was not denial. The resistance was not punishment. It was preparation. You are now standing on the other side of it on holy ground. You do not need to fight for what is yours. You only need to remain positioned and faithful. The shift has already begun. And as you continue reading, you are not just receiving information, you are stepping into activation. What they constructed in the shadows is now crumbling under the weight of divine justice. The very plan they built in secrecy is being dismantled, not by your hand but by the hand of the Almighty. Their words are beginning to stumble in their own mouths. Their unity is unraveling. One by one, the certainty they shared is being replaced with hesitation. Someone among them has already begun to question what they were part of, not out of guilt, but because heaven has stirred the waters of their soul. They cannot sleep, as they once did. They cannot ignore what their spirit is sensing. This is not your doing. It is heaven's interference. God is using their own conscience to fracture the foundation of what they thought was secure. You were never truly in danger, not from them, not from what they plotted, not from what they voted. For God does not wait to see if man agrees before he moves. He does not consult those who doubt before. He lifts those who believe. And you, beloved, have believed. You have trusted without explanation, endured without understanding, stayed silent when words could have defended you. But heaven has not missed a single moment of your stillness. And now the silence you held is being answered with restoration that cannot be revoked. Everything they tried to bury you under will now become the ground you rise from. Everything they thought would silence your name will only magnify what God is about to do with you. They spoke against you in corners, but God is preparing to honor you in the open, not to embarrass them, but to establish you. You do not need revenge. You were never created for petty victories. You were created for sacred ones. You do not need to be louder. You only need to be faithful. The battle was never yours. It belonged to the one who fights with light, not with noise. C.S. Lewis, in his meditation on divine justice, wrote, "Of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. God in the dock." This insight reveals the deceptive nature of their rejection. Their attempts to remove you cloaked in false righteousness were an oppressive tyranny that heaven is now overturning. Lewis's words, aligning with your past, Focus on spiritual discernment. Affirm that God's justice will expose their schemes, establishing your divine position. Now listen carefully, for this next truth must be written on the tablet of your heart. You are not returning to the same place. You are not being sent back to fit into a structure they designed to exclude you. No, God is building something new entirely. A place shaped not by compromise but by covenant. A position they cannot block because it was never assigned by their hands. He is not only protecting your destiny, He is redefining the entire environment where your calling will flourish. You will soon see their plans pause. Their conversations will turn vague. What once felt solid in their schemes will dissolve into uncertainty, and you, the one they marked for removal, will become the testimony they cannot deny. Not because of any earthly credential, but because of the weight of divine presence resting on your life. You will not have to defend your worth. You will not have to argue for your inclusion. God Himself will be your advocate. And when He speaks, no one can unwrite His decree. Do not mistake the suffering of your past seasons as signs of abandonment. Every silent tear, every long night, every moment you questioned your place in this world, none of it was wasted. Heaven kept record not only of your prayers, but of your pain. For what you endured was not random, it was refinement. You have been walking through fire not to be destroyed, but to be forged. The heaviness you carried was not a punishment, it was preparation for the weight of glory that now approaches. There are levels of calling that cannot be entered through comfort. There are realms of purpose that cannot be touched by the untested, and you, chosen one, have been tested, not for the approval of man, but for the unveiling of divine authority. That is why doors closed around you. That is why certain circles could not hold you. That is why their plans could not keep you. Because what God has placed within you is not ordinary, it is sacred, and sacred things cannot remain in common places. You had to be removed from the familiar to be positioned for the eternal. You were never behind. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared in hiddenness, so that what comes next could rest on a foundation of strength, not spectacle. And now, because you remained true when it would have been easier to compromise, because you whispered prayers when no one was listening, because you obeyed when there was no applause, you are stepping into a season where the reward will not only touch your hands, but will echo through generations after you. Yes, the legacy you carry will not be one of survival, but of holy triumph. This is why the warfare was intense. This is why the betrayal cut deep. This is why the silence was long. Because you carry something the enemy could not steal, so he tried to surround you with discouragement. But even when you felt like letting go, heaven never let go of you. God's hand was beneath you when your knees buckled. His presence covered you when loneliness tried to hollow you out. His whisper sustained you when every other voice fell silent. And now, that same voice is not whispering, He is declaring your restoration. He is declaring your repositioning. He is declaring your re-entry not into what they designed, but into what He ordained. You will no longer walk with hesitation. You will no longer question your identity. The fog is lifting. The grief is breaking. The fear is dissolving. And in its place, peace will settle like oil upon your shoulders. You will walk into rooms with clarity, not confusion. You will speak with power, not performance. You will stand with grace, not guardedness, because you know now you are chosen, and no vote on earth can undo what heaven already sealed. Now, beloved, lift your eyes not outward but inward, for what has shifted is not only the atmosphere around you but the identity within you. You are no longer walking as the one who fears being removed. You are now walking as the one heaven has revealed. This is not about recovering what was lost. This is about stepping into what was always yours but hidden until now. You have not missed your moment. You have not fallen behind. You are right on time, for the scroll of your destiny has just been unsealed. Heaven has already moved on your behalf. The plans of the opposition are dissolving. Even as you read, the voices that once gathered in secret are growing silent, not by force but by divine interruption. And now in the same places where your name was mishandled, God will establish honor. In the very corridors where they discussed your removal, they will witness your rise. But do not return with pride. Do not respond with anger. Walk in with grace. For this is not your vengeance. This is God's justice. And when God restores, he does not return you to the same seat. He prepares a new room, a new table, and a new authority. Only you can carry. Do not be surprised when the atmosphere around you changes. Even your presence will begin to carry a weight, not because of status, but because of spirit. People will notice a stillness about you that cannot be imitated. Your words will carry clarity that silences confusion. Your actions will speak louder than the noise they once used to discredit you. You won't need to explain what happened. You won't need to defend how you got here. Your peace will tell the story. Your fruit will speak on your behalf. The fragrance of divine favor will go before you, and those who once doubted you will not understand, but they will witness it. C.S. Lewis, in his exploration of divine preparation, wrote, "It may be hard for an egg to turn into a bird. It would be a jolly sight, harder for it to learn to fly while remaining an egg. We must be hatched or go bad." Mere Christianity, this metaphor captures your refining trials. The silent suffering and betrayals were the cracking of your shell, preparing you to soar in divine authority. Lewis's words resonating with your past focus on spiritual transformation and purpose affirm that your hiddenness was heaven's forging, readying you for a triumphant rise. What comes next will not be built with striving. It will be built in stillness. The same stillness that carried you through this trial will now become the foundation of your reign. Yes, reign. For God is not merely restoring what was taken. He is elevating you to what could not have been reached without this process. This is the crowning after the crushing. This is the unveiling after the silence. This is the glory after the grief. And it is holy. So now walk carefully, but confidently. You are being positioned in rooms that require your wholeness. Do not carry old fears into new territory. Do not bring old wounds into new wine. Let the past remain where heaven left, it buried beneath grace. You owe no explanation. You owe no apology for being chosen. This season does not require validation. It requires vision. And God has already given you the eyes to see it. What comes next is not just recovery, it is revelation. Now, chosen one, hear this final truth and write it upon your heart. You are no longer in transition, you are in activation. The season of proving your worth is over. The days of justifying your presence are done. You are not being tolerated, you are being established. This shift will not be announced by those who once resisted you. It will be recognized by the presence that now surrounds you. Where once you entered quietly, you will now walk with authority. Where once you were overlooked, now even silence will feel your presence. This is your divine commissioning, not by man, not by merit, but by the mouth of God. You have passed the test of silence, of surrender, of stillness, of trusting, when no one saw, of remaining, when everything in you wanted to run. And because of that, heaven has responded with a decree: proceed in power. Move forward without hesitation. Speak when the Spirit gives you utterance. Remain silent when the flesh demands defense. For you are no longer carrying wounds, you are carrying a mantle. And that mantle is not just for you, it is for the lives that will be touched through your obedience. Do not be alarmed when old doors close completely. Do not grieve when old connections fade without warning. What is falling away is not loss, it is divine refinement. You are not being abandoned, you are being made room for. The weight you once carried is lifting, not because the burden has disappeared, but because God has replaced it with His strength. The tears you once cried in private will be answered with joy that cannot be hidden. And the confusion that once clouded your mind will be replaced with divine clarity. And now, as you walk into what comes next, remember this: you are not returning, you are rising. You are not repeating cycles. You are breaking them. You are not reclaiming.